Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today because we are tackling a massive, honestly, kind of chaotic topic and breaking it down into total clarity. We're going to demystify the complete 2026/27 Italian university and visa process, specifically for Pakistani students. There is so much misinformation floating around out there, so we are relying strictly on the latest official sources to guide you through every single hurdle.
So let's just bust the biggest misconception right out of the gate. Does getting an acceptance letter from an Italian university mean your student visa is a done deal? The short, absolute answer is no. No way. Admission does not guarantee a visa. An admission letter just means the university wants you, but the final, definitive decision on your visa always rests with a competent Italian consular authority. The two processes are connected, for sure, but they are entirely separate assessments.
To keep things from getting overwhelming, we're going to break this whole explainer down into 6 manageable phases. First, the broad 2026 study journey. Then, documents and attestations. Third, Universitaly and the visa process. Fourth, scholarships and financial proof. Fifth, the complete timeline and costs. And finally, arrival, along with some fatal mistakes you absolutely need to avoid.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the 2026 study journey. Like we just said, admission does not equal a visa. Instead, you've got to view this entire journey as a massive 16-step interconnected chain. It kicks off with a deep dive into your profile, evaluating your CGPA, figuring out any study gaps, and confirming language requirements like IELTS for English taught programs. And honestly, it doesn't end until you physically have your permesso di soggiorno in your hands in Italy. The trick here? You can't just wait for one step to finish before starting the next. It's like a giant puzzle. Your university selection, your apps, and your intense document prep all have to overlap.
Moving right along to Section 2, Documents and Attestations.
Okay, to save you from total cognitive overload, I highly recommend what I call the folder method. Literally, from day one, build 4 specific folders. Folder 1 is academic. That's your transcripts, degrees, CV, and statement of purpose. Folder 2 is university, your admission letters and program details. Folder 3 is financial, bank statements, and sponsor income proofs. And Folder 4 is visa, application forms, insurance, and specific accommodation proofs. Setting this up early is an absolute game changer for staying organized.
Now, let's talk about the mandatory route for authenticating your Pakistani academic documents. You literally cannot skip steps here. First up, your certificates have to go through IBCC, and higher degrees go to HEC for verification. Only after that's done can you move to Step 2, which is the MOFA Apostille. And hey, strong warning right here, do not take an unverified degree straight to MOFA and expect them to apostille it. They'll just reject it. Once you're apostilled, you move to Step 3, Italian translation, and Step 4, credential recognition like CIMEA or a declaration of value. But, and this is absolutely crucial, only if they are actually required.
Speaking of translations, we really need to bust a massive myth that ends up costing students thousands of rupees. The rumor is that every single English document automatically needs an Italian translation. The reality? You have to check with your specific university, CIMEA, and the Italian consular requirements first. While public documents in Urdu generally will require a certified Italian translation, an English document, not necessarily. Please, don't waste your money blindly translating the whole shebang without checking first.
And, this perfectly illustrates our next point about credential recognition. You're going to hear a lot of acronyms, especially CIMEA and DOVI, which is the Declaration of Value. Basically, CIMEA gives you online statements comparing or verifying your degree, while the DOVI is a physical document issued by the Italian consulate. Here's the golden rule, folks. They are not automatically interchangeable. Never assume you can just pick one over the other, and absolutely do not order both blindly just to be safe. Always check which a specific university and the consular authority actually demand.
All right, on to Section 3, Universitaly and the visa process.
So what exactly is Universitaly? Well, it's the official national Italian platform used for international student pre-enrollment. This isn't optional. It's a mandatory gateway. And it's completely separate from the university's own application portal where you initially applied. You've got to create an account here, select your validated program, and upload your documents. It's basically you raising your hand and saying, "Hey, Italy, I'm ready to enter your system."
Now listen closely to this exact quote directly from the Embassy of Italy in Islamabad. Only students whose Universitaly pre-enrollment applications have been validated by their respective university will be eligible to submit a visa application. Guys, this is arguably the most critical rule update for the 2026-27 cycle. If your university hasn't validated you on that portal, don't even think about a visa appointment.
So what does this actually mean for you? It changes the whole appointment game. The old way was trying to book a visa appointment directly whenever you felt like it. But the 2026/27 rule states that BLS Intiana will contact you chronologically by email and only after your Universitaly pre-enrollment has been validated by your university. Let it be perfectly clear, never, ever pay a scammer on WhatsApp or Facebook who claims they can sell you a fake visa appointment. The embassy explicitly warns against this. Appointments are strictly allocated based on validation dates now.
Let's talk money in Section 4, scholarships and financial proof.
First off, let's clear up the difference between need-based and merit-based scholarships. Need-based, often called DSU or regional scholarships, evaluate your family's economic status. They can be amazing, sometimes covering tuition, meals, and accommodation. Merit-based scholarships, on the other hand, look purely at your academic excellence and CGPA. Just remember, there isn't one magical national DSU application. You have to apply to the specific regional authority tied to your chosen university. And those deadlines, they vary drastically.
Now take a look at this exact number, €10,179.85. That is the official annual financial reference amount required for a 2026-27 study visa. To put that into perspective, it's roughly €783 a month. And listen carefully to this part. Visa officers scrutinize where this money comes from and your relationship to your sponsor. Please do not try to manufacture fake bank balances or drop massive, unexplained deposits at the last minute. Your financial evidence has to be totally genuine, traceable, and actually consistent with your sponsor's documented income.
Moving right along to Section 5, complete timeline and costs.
What's really interesting about mapping out these costs is how it acts like a shield against bad advice. Basically, costs fall into 3 buckets: fixed, variable, and university-specific. MOFA apostilles are fixed at 3,000 rupees a document. The visa fee, fixed at €50. And the BLS service fee is fixed around 10,196 rupees. But things like translations, insurance, and flights, super variable. And application fees are entirely up to the university. Because so much of this is up in the air depending on your specific case, don't fall for anyone promising a guaranteed all-in-one package price. It's literally impossible to predict perfectly.
So, let's trace out the ideal timeline. You really need to start checking your profile and shortlisting universities 9 to 12 months in advance. By 7 to 9 months out, you should be submitting applications and kicking off those IBCC, HEC, and MOFA attestations. Hitting the 4 to 6 month mark, that's when you tackle Universitaly and wait for validation. Then, 2 to 4 months before your intake is prime time for your BLS visa submission, and finally, please burn this date into your brain. November 30, 2026. That is the absolute, official, final deadline for 2026/27 visa applications. Preparation is literally everything here.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, arrival and fatal mistakes.
Here's the thing. The clock starts ticking the second you land in Italy. You have exactly 8 working days to apply for your permesso di soggiorno, your actual Italian residence permit. Your entry visa gets you through passport control, sure, but the permesso is what lets you legally stay. You usually kick this off by grabbing an application kit at a post office with a Sportello Amico desk. During this crazy first week, you also need to sort out your codice fiscale, which is your official Italian tax code, and finish up your final university enrollment. Basically, hit the ground running and do not delay any of this.
Let's make sure your strategy is absolutely bulletproof by recapping some fatal mistakes you've got to avoid. First, never assume there's one single national university deadline. They are all totally different. Second, don't ignore study gaps or IELTS requirements. Get ahead of them early. Third, never fake your bank funds. Just don't do it. Fourth, do not pay an intermediary for a visa appointment because BLS contacts you directly once you're validated. And lastly, never order a DOV or CIMEA blindly without checking if your specific university actually wants it. Following bad advice on any of these points will just ruin your application. The Italy 2026/27 process is undeniably rigorous. It's packed with strict chronological rules and some heavy documentation. But armed with this step-by-step roadmap, you can cut right through the chaos. So the question isn't really about how difficult the process is. The real question is, are you ready to start building your flawless application file today? The path to your Italian degree definitely takes meticulous organization, but man, the reward of a world-class education is so worth it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Now take a hard look at your timeline. Where are you going to begin?